Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of the stuff we talked about in my last video, which was Einstein's theory of relativity, how that relates to manifestation, how I've basically figured out the process of instant manifestation, and I'm going to go more into detail and try to explain kind of like how I'm looking at it now. I don't know if this is the most scientific explanation, but this is how I've come to understand it, and hopefully it makes it clear for you guys as well. There's about a million metaphors I could use and things like this, but I'm just gonna go through it as best as I can in this video. Okay, so essentially, the first thing that I figured out is like, obviously we see time moving straight forward as like a straight line. We're going this way, that's pretty much it. We have birth here, we got death over here. Like we're just moving like this through time, okay? But then I don't know why, but I had this urge when I was like looking at this line was to curve it. So like if you were to curve this line, basically like you say you have birth on this end, you got death on this end, and then you were to curve it, like essentially they would meet together as one. Like you would make it into a circle. So you take that straight line and you curve it into a circle, and now you got birth and death like right at the same place, right at the same meeting point, essentially. So this is basically saying collapsing time and space, and I'm sure you might have heard this concept before, but people say if you want to manifest something, you got to collapse the time and space between where you are now and where you want to go, right? So if we have this concept of time, then it's like, oh, it's going to take me a while to get there. Like if we're traveling this way, it's going to take a really long time to get to where we want to go. But if we were to collapse time and space, if there wasn't any time and space, like it would just happen instantly, right? And so basically I wanted to do diagrams for this video, but like I don't know, I really don't like trying to multitask while I'm doing a video. Anyways, but birth and death would be at the same place. Or if you're thinking of it as like your manifestation, your desire would be here, your manifestation would be here. So what you want to do, right, is collapse time and space so that they would happen, it would happen instantly. Basically you'd have the desire and then it manifests instantly. And the only way that can happen is if, once again, there is no time or there is no space, basically. And this is how everything in imagination exists. And I want to say in this video, imagination is not separate. Like, it is not a separate thing. Like, everything that you're seeing there, it exists now. It exists, like, here. I don't know how to explain this, but blur the line between reality and imagination because it is the same thing, basically. Anyways, but when we see things in so-called imagination, what's happening is things are moving so quickly that essentially we can't even see them. You can look at the movie Lucy for this. She talks about it when she talks about the concept of time and how if we did not have time, we would not be able to perceive this reality because everything would move so fast or be happening basically all at once. Like I said, you know, the beginning and the end meet, it would be happening all at once, that there'd be no concept of time. There'd be no forward movement because everything would already exist now. Like if you speed things up, if you speed reality up so fast that eventually it just, there is no movement anymore. As an example of this is like if you're looking at a propeller spinning and it starts spinning so fast that eventually it almost looks like it's like one, right? Like it almost looks like you can't see it or it becomes one, right? When something's moving so fast, like you can't even see it anymore. And so this is what's happening with all those things that are in so-called imagination. They are moving at a speed so fast right now that you can't even comprehend that they are here right now. They do exist right now, but you just cannot see them because they're moving at a rate so much faster. Okay, so I said that in imagination, everything's moving so fast, you can't even see it, right? It's here right now, but you can't see it because you're moving at a rate much slower than everything in imagination, at least in terms of like how we see time, basically. Okay, so I also want you to think of this whole concept of time. Like I've said, we think of it linearly, but start thinking of it as a circle. Start thinking of it as if you were to collapse time and space, the start and the end would be at the same place. And eventually when you speed things up enough, like I said with the propeller, it becomes one. It looks like one. And that is what happens with everything. Everything is one, technically. There is no end to a circle. So if we are moving in a circle, like my example, there is no end, there is no beginning. So how do we know that we have started something? How do we know that we've ended something? How do we know that something has happened or not happened? Right? We don't. Like in imagination, we don't have any concept of if it happened or not. We have no idea if something happened or not because there's no relative thing that we can compare it to. So basically, my example of this is like, so time dilation with Einstein, and talks about time dilation. It's basically saying like, you know, someone's perception of time can be different than another person's perception of time. Like if someone is moving at a certain speed and then someone else is moving at a certain speed, kind of like when you're driving on the highway and then you have another car like pass you or something. I don't know. Anyways, basically you have a reference to how fast something's going. So if you're like at rest and then the car like speeds by you, like obviously that seems like the car is going really fast. But then if you're driving and you're driving at the same speed as the car, it doesn't look like it's going that fast, right? And this is relativity. Like you're basically able to see if something's moving fast or slow because you're comparing it to something else, right? So to know that something has happened, you have to be able to compare it to something else. To know that time has passed, you have to be able to compare it to something else. So like yourself, you're comparing it to the world around you, right? Like every day you see things changing, so you know time is passing. Or basically, the reason that we know that time is passing in this reality, in this world, is because we have what I like to call checkpoints, okay? Which are memories. We have memories. And the only reason we know time has passed is because we have a memory of something. And a memory is like a little checkpoint. I like to think of it, if you have seen the movie, what's it called? Inside Out, I think it's called, where they have these little balls that roll in. Like every time someone has a memory, it's like they have these little balls and they like store them on a shelf. This is like in your mind, you store memories, right? And you know something's happened because you have a memory of it. But how do you know that it's happened? Like the only way you know something has happened is because you have a memory of it now. That's the only way you know it happened. If you didn't have that memory, how do you know that thing ever happened? It didn't. Like it wouldn't have happened then. Like people say, there's like quotes like, if a tree fell in the woods but nobody saw it, like did the tree really fall? And that's the thing. It only happened like it based on relativity because you have something to base it off of. So when it comes to imagination, there's nothing really to base it off of. Like you see something in imagination and then it goes away, right? Like you can't like create a checkpoint so much in imagination, or at least we're going to get to that point. But in this reality, you're constantly creating checkpoints every single day. You're creating memories. And that is how we have this concept of time. Because if we did not have memories, if we had no memories, then we would simply just be existing. Like we would have nothing to base time off of. So then there would be no time. There would be no time dilation. Everything would be moving extremely fast to the point where everything would become one. I hope this is making some sense. Again, these videos, like I do my best to explain these concepts, but like I go through it so much in my head, I wish I could always get it out the way that I want to say it, but it never comes out exactly the way, so just bear with me here, but hopefully this is making some sense to you. Basically, the idea is that to create this reality called life that we live in, we had to slow down time, we had to create a concept of time, so we had to slow ourselves down, basically. And to do that, there had to be something to base things off of. To feel like we are moving linearly through time, we had to have what I like to think of once again as checkpoints. Because if you're running through, let's say, like a circle on a map or something, and let's say like, just for the example, everything around you looks the exact same. Like you're running on a track and everything around you looks the exact same. And you just keep running around the circle over and over. And like, the only way that you know maybe you got to a certain distance is because, like they do in races, like there's a checkpoint. There's like a marker, right? That tells you I've passed this point already. Or if you're traveling, like hiking in a woods or something, and maybe you finally get to the checkpoint and it tells you where you are kind of on the map or something, right? Or we think of when we're traveling somewhere, there's like those, what are they called? Like monuments or something, that tells you you're at this specific location. It's like a marker on a map. There's a marker, there's a pin, there's some way of telling that you've been there before. Just like we go to space and we put a flag on the planet, whatever, we gotta say, or the moon, sorry, we put a flag on it and we say we've been here before. That's the only reason we know we've been there, is because we put some sort of marker or we recorded something, or There's some kind of recollection. How do we know anything has ever happened in history at all? It's because we have artifacts. It's because we have little pieces of things that have happened in the past. If we did not have history, how would we know that we've ever been here this long? How would we know that this has ever happened? We wouldn't. And this entire planet, everything you see outside of you is a reflection of you, and it's metaphors based off of actually how the universe itself works. So artifacts and things in the past and checkpoints are a metaphor for like memories, for the concept of something happening or not happening. So when it comes to your life at all, you even being here on this earth, how do you know that you're even here? It's because you have memories. It's because you have something to base it off of. The only reason you think you're moving forward in time is because you're basing it off of something else. That is the only way that we can have time, is through relativity, you know, like of something else, of another object or another thing. And so if there was nothing at all, if there were no checkpoints, no memories, nothing, then we go back to just everything being one, everything happening at once, and you can think of it like being in a loop. Like you just keep going, like I said, on this racetrack, you just keep going in the same circle over and over, and you don't know where it begins, you don't know where it ends, because you're just going in circles, because there's no checkpoint, there's no way to tell that you've been somewhere or not. And so when it comes to manifesting something or creating something in your reality, you basically, what you're doing when you visualize something is you are creating a checkpoint or a memory, and you are saying that I have been here before. So when you thought of that thing, you created a checkpoint. And I like to think of it as like you're running or something, and you just like put a flag somewhere, or you like dropped a pin behind you. You can also think of it like that, like dropping a pin. And so you're like saying, okay, I've been here. And then you just keep running though. Because the thing is, we are in a constant state of flux. Like we are always moving. The universe is always moving. And you can also take the metaphor of the fact that the earth is always rotating all the time. It is always rotating no matter what. No matter what. So you are always moving no matter what. It does not matter if you think you are off track or you're doing something wrong. You are never actually off this track. So like if we're thinking of the racetrack, you are always on this racetrack no matter what. You're always running forward. You're always moving forward. You can think of it like a clock. A clock is always ticking forward no matter what happens, no matter what. Okay? But what happens is that you can technically slow yourself down. You will never stop running. You will always keep running, because the thing is, the circle never ends. The circle will always continue, but you can slow yourself down. So essentially, when you create a checkpoint, that checkpoint never goes away. You never lost that checkpoint. When you visualize that thing, all it took was one visualization and it was there. That checkpoint was there. But the only reason that you're not seeing it is because what's happening is every time you think, I don't have this thing, I don't know where this thing is, I'm not seeing it, what you're doing is you're slowing yourself down so much. Slowing yourself down, you're slowing yourself down. So like basically if you're not moving forward, then you're never going to pass that checkpoint again. Like the whole point is that you create the checkpoint so that the next time you go around, you pass the checkpoint again, right? Like you know that you've passed it already. But if you slow yourself down so much, so much, like you're never going to pass that checkpoint again. Okay? I hope this makes some sense to you guys. Like when you create a checkpoint, you keep running, right? Like, so let's say you put like a pin down on the ground or something, and then your person keeps running. Like they always keep going. So like you have to think of it like when you thought of that thing, it's behind you now. Like you put it in the past, just like a memory. Because when you're visualizing something, the whole point is to think of it like a memory. You put it in the past, and then you keep running. You keep moving forward, and that's just the way the universe goes. It's always moving forward, even if you can't see it. So when people say they're off track or something, there really is no way of being off track. You're just slowing yourself down. It's just relativity. You're saying, based on where I am now, and like where I think this thing is, you're putting it ahead of you now. Like you're putting it in the future or something, or further away from you. But it's only you creating that in your mind. Like it's like again, it's relativity. You're basing it off of something else. Okay? But you have to instead look at it as if you drop the pin, you put the checkpoint in, and then you just keep going, because that is the way the universe goes, and you're never going to ruin it or mess it up because you'll always just keep moving forward. But the only thing you can do is slow down so-called time, or the amount, like how long it takes you to get back to that checkpoint again. But like I said in my example too, like if we're looking at the world like this, like your checkpoint is here. Let's say you just put your checkpoint on, it's right here. And let's say immediately, like you just assume it's a memory now, that thing has already happened, then instantly, like you're going to be back at the same spot again. I don't know if this makes sense, but like it works so fast as soon as you say this thing is a memory, because now you're collapsing time and space to say that this thing has already happened. I've already passed this point. So when you collapse time and space, that's when you just instantly are back at this point, right? All right, basically what I'm trying to say is that you're looking at you here and your desire over here, right? Like you're here, your desire's over here. It's a distance to get there. That's how you keep looking at it, okay? But if you can put your desire behind you, as in realizing that that moment that you visualize that thing, you just dropped your pin, you put your check mark on the map, and now you keep running forward, you keep going forward, and that thing's behind you now, okay? The moment you realize it's behind you, that it's become a memory, it is behind you, you're creating a checkpoint with the universe saying, I've experienced this. So now you collapse time and space, and now the beginning and end become one. They become the same thing. Like where you are and where you want to go become the same because it's already happened. You already experienced it. That's what you're telling the universe when you keep moving forward. Okay? And it just becomes instant then. This is always so hard to explain. I'm trying to like really put it into context for you guys. Another way to look at it, if you don't like this sort of concept that I have about the person running, which by the way, it should make you feel good though to know that if you are constantly running in a circle, like people always think like that they're, you know, like off path or something, or they're doing something wrong. Like there's no way to get out of this circle that you're running in. Like you're always going to be running in the circle. The earth is always rotating. The clock is always turning, right? Like the way that we see it. Again, these are metaphors. So even when you think that you're messing up or something, like you're not, like there's no way really to mess up other than just assuming and slowing things down. You can slow yourself down, but you're never going to fully like lose that checkpoint. If you put a checkpoint in at one point in time, you thought of that thing, it's there. It didn't go away, okay? It never went away. So all these times you think like you have to affirm over and over, it's not true. Because that thing is already there. When you're affirming, by the way, again and again for something, like all you're really doing is just reminding yourself, oh yeah, that's back there. I already passed that checkpoint. Also, that sounded really Canadian when I said that. Anyways, yeah, when you are affirming to yourself, all you're doing is saying, I passed that checkpoint. I passed that checkpoint. Oh yeah, I already passed that checkpoint. It was behind me. I passed that checkpoint. So that's why you can keep moving forward, because you're reminding yourself, I already passed it. It's okay. I already passed it. I already passed it. So you are still pushing yourself forward. So that's why sometimes affirming a bunch of times can be helpful, because you're reminding yourself, I already passed it. I already passed it. It's okay. I already passed it. Like, so it's the same idea as just saying it one time and moving forward. So whatever way works better for you, you can do that. But just realize though that if you are affirming and at the same time you are thinking to yourself, where's this thing? Where is this thing? As you're affirming, you're like affirming as if you're going to get something from saying the affirmation, then that's when you're going to be slowing down time, basically. Because you're affirming, you're saying like, I passed this thing, but then you're like, but did I really pass this thing? Like, and then you're going to start slowing it down again. So if affirming is making you stressed out, like, don't affirm, right? Like, the thing is, you need to just realize that even if you forget about it, it's not going to go away. That checkpoint is going to be there. Because think of the little things that you have manifested that have been so random. Like you've thought of something and all of a sudden someone talks about it. Like how much effort did you put into that? You put no effort in. And it could have even manifested days later or a month later, something like this. And it's because it doesn't go away. Like the checkpoint will be there and you're going to pass, again, I like thinking of it this way because it's just nice to think of. Once you put that checkpoint there, you're gonna do another lap around and you're gonna pass it again. So I like looking at it like that because then you can kind of like expect it in the future. So it's actually okay to expect things. It's okay to expect things, but you want to expect your desire. You want to expect that, like, I'm gonna pass it again because I put that checkpoint there. I already know I passed it and I know it's there, so eventually when I do another lap around, I'm gonna pass it again. So it's actually okay to do that, and that's like kind of like what affirming is too. But anyways, my other concept of this that works for me too, if I don't want to think of it this way, you can think of it like you are, okay, you were the ocean. Think of it like you were the whole ocean, okay? And let's say when you create a desire, like if you say an affirmation, you create a wave in the ocean, all right? And then I like to think of it too, like, you know, the more emotion that's in it or the more confidence you have when you say this affirmation, like the bigger the wave kind of. But you don't have to think of it that way. Anyways, so you create this wave, you are the ocean, you created the wave, and then you're also a surfer on the ocean. And once you've created this wave, now your job is to surf this wave. So you said the affirmation, the wave is created. Now all you have to do is ride out the wave. Literally just surf the wave. You can also think of it as like someone diving in the water, like in swimming. They dive in the water, that's the action. They said the affirmation, they dove in, and now they glide as far as they can, right? Before they start doing their swimming. Because they want to get as far as they can before they have to start swimming the actual lap to save energy, right? So that's what you want to do too. You want to ride the wave. So once you've said your affirmation, now what you want to do is you just want to ride the wave, ride the current, and just go off of it as far as you can go. Just, that's when it comes to living in the present moment. That's when it comes to letting go, basically, as people say. You want to just ride the wave as far as you can get it. And then if at any point in time you feel like you're slowing down, you feel, oh, so sorry if my stomach's growling so loud right now. If you feel yourself slowing down, remember, you are the ocean. So create another wave then. That's saying, say the affirmation again. And now that you've said the affirmation again, you ride the wave again. Okay? Ride it as far as you can. And then when you feel like you're slowing down again, you feel, as in when I say slowing down, I mean that you feel like you are looking for your desire or something, or you feel you're in a negative mindset or something like this, and you want to affirm, then affirm. And then that's all you're doing. You just keep creating these waves, ride it as long as you can, and then create another wave, ride it as long as you can, create another wave. That's what, you know, repeating affirmations is also doing. But when you repeat affirmations and you say them like nonstop and you're forcing yourself to, you know, I said you're the ocean. So if you are the ocean, you're creating waves. If you keep creating waves and waves and waves and waves and waves, like eventually your surfer's gonna start falling off the board because you're making so many waves that like they can't even stay upright, right? So the thing is, you don't want to be in that mindset of I need to affirm 24/7 to get something. No. The thing is, you want to create the biggest wave by confidently saying your thing, making the decision. For some people, you only need one giant wave to get you to where you want to go. And that's it. You want to ride that wave as long as possible. And if ever you have doubts, create another wave, aka say the affirmation again, visualize again, whatever you want to do, ride that wave again as long as you can. Because that in between, that like allowing phase is when your desire will come in. It will always be in that phase of allowing, okay? Because when you're allowing, that's when you are trusting that it has already happened, basically. When you are riding the wave, you know, you can see that the wave has already happened. Like you are trusting that, like you already have the thing that you need. It's always in that allowing phase that things will come in. So if you're constantly affirming, you will find usually if you are affirming 24/7, like your desire won't come in while you're affirming. It can, if you are sort of like in the right mindset, it can, but for the most part, your desire will come in after you've been affirming. You will notice that, okay? because it's when you're riding the wave. It is when you are saying that I've done enough. I have done enough. This wave is big enough to take me to where I need to go. And so you just allow it. That's the thing. Okay? So affirming is not bad. Saying affirmations as much as you really want to is not bad. But you have to just trust that you're reminding yourself that this is enough. This wave is enough, or I have done enough, or this thing is behind me now. That's what you're reminding yourself. I have created the checkpoint and there's nothing else I have to do. I hope these concepts make sense to someone because I really, really want to get this information out there, and I have so many other metaphors. So if you like these metaphors, let me know. I can share my other ones with you. But these are some that I use myself and I like the best and I find work for me. But yeah, you have to think of it like the word that I got. Again, I hear channel messages, like I listen, because the universe speaks to you, by the way. Like, I hope you guys know that. Like, when you are doing anything in your life, like, the universe is always talking to you. Every single thing that you are seeing in your life is a reflection of you. Like, everything that you're experiencing right now, like, for me, one of the signs that I had that I needed to let go and, like, stop affirming so much was because I had this cup in my cupboard. It was upside down, and it said on the cup, normally when it's upright, it says, don't stop, get it, but it was upside down. So it's saying, take a break to get the thing that you want, kind of. And I know that sounds crazy. I know you might be like, you're just assuming that doesn't make any sense. But no, that's literally how it works. The universe has signs through everything. Every single thing that you see around you is a metaphor for your current state. Whether you understand it or not, it is. Always. That's just the way it works. You can look at anything. That's why I have so many metaphors, because I see them everywhere now that I'm more aware. But anyways. Yeah, one of the other things I wrote down was transient. And then also continuous flow. So it says transient means a momentary variation in current, voltage, or frequency lasting only a short time. And this is your affirmation. It's only supposed to last a short time before you go back to being in the flow, basically. Okay? Because staying in the flow means you can move so much faster. And another way I like to look at being in the flow is if you look at the movie Finding Nemo, when they get in that current that moves them so quickly, right? But then as soon as they get out of the current, they start moving slow again, right? So what you want to do is you say your affirmation and then you get right back in that current again. AKA, you go back to living your life. And you realize that that thing that you affirm for is behind you. It's already behind you, okay? And you're going to pass it again because you're living in a continuous circle. You're going to pass it again. It's going to come back around. But the faster that you can get back in that current, like, the faster you're going to see it again. So the word continuous says forming an unbroken whole without interruption. Right? And being in continuous flow is really just, like I said, it's living life. Like, you don't even have to be in a meditative state. It's just being in this state where you are living and you are trusting that what it is that you want is behind you. Like, it's a memory now. That's all it is. Because I said, you can't stop the circle from moving. Like, you can't stop the continuous flow. It will always be moving. It will always be rotating. The earth will always rotate and move you forward. You are always moving forward no matter what. So don't stress about that part. Don't stress about, am I going to get to this? Am I going to get to this? Because all you do then is create time dilation and push that thing further away from you than it already has been. That's all you're doing. You're creating time dilation that way by doing that. So if there is no time dilation, then everything happens now, instantly. So don't start creating that for yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. But again, and then this is why meditation works too, because in meditation you become like nothing, right? Like you let go of memories, you let go of who you are because you're so just like in a trance almost. And that's why it's like becoming, as I said in my other video, it's like the two circles overlapping and now there's like an opening for it to come in, because you are becoming one with basically everything. Like you are moving at the same speed as the universe, right? So that's the other way. Meditation. You are now basically like, again, I have way too many metaphors, but if you think of it like the concept of how water works, like we have like evaporation, condensation, and then like it forms in the clouds and then it rains down on the earth, and then water also can become solid. So if you like to think of it like that too, if you notice when particles are moving more slowly, they become solid, right? But when particles are spaced far apart, they're moving faster. It's like gas, evaporation, and then it becomes nothing. You can't see it, right? Isn't that funny how that works? That when things are moving slower, they become solid, and then when they move faster, far apart, that's when it becomes a gas again. It's just like the universe. You can't see these things because they're moving so fast, right? So to get them to move slower, basically, you have to not so much get them to move slower, but you have to make yourself move faster so that you are now moving at the same rate as them. So now you can see it, basically. Because I said all these things that you want are here right now. You just can't see them because you're moving at a different speed. So if you become the same speed as that thing that you want, you match it, then you're going to see it. This is, by the way, just another way of explaining. You can use any of these metaphors that I've talked about and they will work. You don't have to know all the science behind it. That's the other thing. You don't have to understand everything for it to work. You just have to know, like, it's happened. That's pretty much it. Because everything exists right now, in this moment. You have time dilation going on where you're assuming that it hasn't happened yet because you are using something to base it off of. All right? But yeah, think of condensation, think of water being solid, the particles come together to form a solid, versus when they start moving further and further apart, now it becomes a gas, now it becomes something you can't see anymore. So to make something solid, like it has to slow down. That's how we have this reality around us, because we're moving slower. We are solid because we're moving slower, but if we speed ourselves up, then we don't exist anymore. Or we at least can't tell that we exist anymore, if that makes any sense. So yes, everything exists, but you just have to match, again, you can say its frequency or its state, and then you'll have it. Like, again, meditation, what meditation does is it basically speeds up time, because you're not basing anything off of anything. You're just forgetting things. You're becoming more like the universe again. You're becoming one with everything again. That's why meditation works. You're speeding yourself up when you're meditating, or when you are zoned in, you're in the flow state of doing something. That's why it's also important to do things you love. Enjoy yourself. Be happy. Because when you're in that state, then you're also matching the frequency of the universe. Anyways, I'm going to end this video. It's very long and very all over the place, but so is the universe. I don't know what I'm saying. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I really hope this saves. We're going to say it's saved. I'm putting that in the past right now because my laptop storage is a bit full, but I think it should be okay. So thank you guys once again so much for watching. Please comment. Let me know what you think of these concepts. Let me know if you enjoyed these more rambly videos, because I know I've been doing more of them lately. It just feels right. Also ignore my current state of my hair right now. I'm looking like a mess, but I just really wanted to get this video out today. I wanted to share this with you guys because I'm so excited about these concepts. I feel like it's important to share them. I really hope it makes a difference in our reality, you know, and our concept of the world, and I really hope it helps people, and that's my goal with life. Like, I want to make a difference in the world, and I want to help people understand that they're more powerful than they know, and I think that's just something that more people are going to start to realize and wake up to as time goes on. So thanks again, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe. I do have coaching below if you are interested in that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Right, bye.